Paris gave Meghan Markle a front row seat at Balenciaga, but the real show was the power math behind it. Meghan Markle chasing a clean slate, Balenciaga chasing credibility under Pierpaolo Piccioli, and a room that judges in seconds and remembers for seasons. The white-hot entrance, the black cape pivot, the whispers about fees, it all fed a single question. Did Meghan Markle read the room or just read the headlines? Because with Balenciaga still rebuilding and Pierpaolo Piccioli rewriting the house code, every glance carried stakes and every smile had a price. But that wasn't the whole story. All eyes snapped to Meghan Markle the moment she stepped into Paris Fashion Week, and that's exactly why the stakes were brutal. Meghan Markle wasn't just another famous guest in a prime seat. She was a lightning rod walking into Balenciaga's most closely watched moment, one where Pierpaolo Piccioli is shaping a new chapter and the industry is measuring every signal the house sends. For Meghan Markle, the calculus is different but just as ruthless. The closer she sits to a house like Balenciaga, the louder the message that she's not just passing through fashion, she wants a permanent address. And fashion remembers. It remembers who stood by when a brand was rebuilding, who fit the narrative, and who looked like they were trying to force one. The room wasn't quiet. It never is. Balenciaga carries an energy that's part ceremony, part risk, and Meghan Markle stepped into that current knowing it can lift you or wash you out. The moment her look registered, first glance architecture, second glance intention, the unspoken question rolled through the rows. Is Meghan Markle aligning with where Balenciaga is going, or borrowing the moment for her own storyline? That's the difference between an ally and a headline. For Balenciaga, association is currency. For Meghan Markle, credibility is the only kind of power that sticks. Every face in that front row acts like a mirror. Meghan Markle knows that. The cameras capture the silhouette, but insiders clock the alignment. If Pierpaolo Piccioli is sketching a cleaner, more deliberate Balenciaga, then anyone near the brand needs that same clarity. Meghan Markle didn't just need to look good, she needed to look inevitable. Because when a house is recalibrating, it isn't just showing clothes, it's choosing company. And if Meghan Markle wants to be part of that company, the narrative has to feel seamless, not stitched on. But that wasn't the whole story, because the looks themselves said even more than the seating chart. The first read was simple. Meghan Markle went bright and pared back in that sculpted white, then swung to a black cape that felt deliberate and cinematic. But fashion isn't only about fabric, it's a message. In white, Meghan Markle signaled reset. Clean lines, soft geometry, almost ceremonial restraint. It whispered, "I'm here for the house, not just the headline." In black, Meghan Markle shifted gears. Sharper edges, longer lines, controlled drama. It said, "I can hold a room without raising my voice." That two-step mattered because Balenciaga under Pierpaolo Piccioli is reading for intention, not volume. Up close, the construction did heavy lifting. The white look framed Meghan Markle's posture like architecture, shoulders calm, movement easy. Nothing fluttering for attention. That's a quiet power play. The black cape changed the silhouette without chasing spectacle. It gave Meghan Markle presence, not noise. And presence is the word Balenciaga respects. The beauty read matched the clothes. Polished skin, minimal interference, a glow that said controlled, not competing. If Meghan Markle wanted to telegraph alignment, precision over flash, focus over frenzy, this was the vocabulary. The subtext landed in the row. Fashion people clock continuity. Does look one speak to look two, or is it costume change? With Meghan Markle, the thread held. White cleared the air, black closed the argument. No borrowed theatrics, no runaway trend chasing, just a steady thesis. Meghan Markle can live in modern minimalism and still feel like herself. That's the signal brands look for. Someone who doesn't drown the house code to keep their own name loud. But clothes only start the conversation. The room's reaction, the micro moments, the glances that turn into headlines, those decide whether a look becomes a legacy. And that's where the front row got interesting. The front row told its own story. Meghan Markle didn't rush. She measured each beat like someone who understands that in fashion, timing is half the language. When Meghan Markle settled, conversations softened by a notch, the way they do when a new variable enters an equation everyone's still solving. Balenciaga thrives on that kind of tension. Controlled, intentional, a little electric, and Pierpaolo Piccioli has been turning that current into discipline. For Meghan Markle, the test wasn't applause. It was whether the room treated her presence as part of the house's sentence, not a parenthesis. Body language did the quiet talking. Meghan Markle held eye contact just long enough. She smiled, then let the expression land without chasing it. No fussing with the cape, no overplaying the camera moments. That's how you read as anchored, not anxious. The people around her did their own calculus. Quick nods, subtle lean-ins, a few crossed arms easing open as the show settled in. None of it loud, all of it telling. Meghan Markle has learned that in a room like this, the strongest choice is sometimes restraint. Even the tiny etiquette beats mattered. Meghan Markle let the clothes breathe when the lights dimmed. She didn't fight the runway with movement. She tracked the silhouettes, not the lenses. And as the finale passed, she gave the kind of applause that reads as informed rather than eager. Those are the signals insiders clock. Does Meghan Markle feel like a guest, or does she move like a stakeholder? Tonight, she edged closer to the latter. Still, a front row is only one jury. Another jury sits online, faster, louder, and far less forgiving. And once the clips started flying, the split got sharp. The moment the front row clips of Meghan Markle hit timelines, the takes split like glass. Fans praised the reset, calling the white look a clean pivot and the black cape a masterclass in restraint. Supporters said Meghan Markle finally found the balance. Modern Polish without chasing shock value, a lane that lets the clothes do the talking. They pointed to the glow, the posture, the calm. They argued that Meghan Markle understands presence and doesn't need theatrics to command it. Critics read it differently. They threaded old baggage into new frames, asking whether Meghan Markle was aligning with Balenciaga's narrative or borrowing its heat. Some said the minimalism felt calculated, that the cape was more strategy than style. Others tugged at the house's history and questioned the optics. If Balenciaga is still rebuilding, should Meghan Markle be this close to the brand's reset? In that debate, the clothes were only half the story. The context did the rest. Then there were the micro-analyses, beauty breakdowns, silhouette critiques, side-by-sides from past appearances. Supporters highlighted a consistent through line: softer architecture, cleaner edges, a refusal to over-accessorize. Detractors argued that Meghan Markle still reads as reactive, adapting to the room rather than directing it. And because fashion lives online now, every frame became evidence for one camp or the other. This is the part Meghan Markle knows well. When the internet splits, brands get cautious. Not because of noise, but because of patterns. If the sentiment chart shows volatility, the calculus shifts from can she wear it to can she steady it? And that's where whispers start, about fees, about futures, about whether the proximity is worth the pushback. But that wasn't the whole story, because the loudest chatter wasn't about a hemline. It was about money, and what a number might say if it's even close to true. Numbers flew faster than runway looks. By the time the clips of Meghan Markle settled into everyone's feeds, the whisper turned into a headline-sized question. Was there a seven-figure appearance fee on the table? No one on the record, no invoices in sight, just that particular Paris echo where a rumor sounds like a receipt until someone asks to see it. For Meghan Markle, the number matters less than the narrative. A giant fee reads two ways. To fans, it signals leverage. To skeptics, it suggests she rents proximity when the door doesn't swing open on its own. That's why the chatter sticks, because money, in fashion, isn't just currency. It's a character. The calculus for Balenciaga is different. If a house is mid-reset, writing a check for a polarizing guest can look like confidence or like noise control. And confidence is priceless only when it looks effortless. If Meghan Markle was paid, the brand would need the optics to look like collaboration, not crisis. If she wasn't, then the rumor itself becomes a stress test. Can Meghan Markle hold the moment without the myth of a massive fee carrying the frame? Either way, the talk puts pressure on the fit between name and narrative. That's the quiet part most people miss. Whether the figure is real or just runway gossip, it drags the story away from clothes and toward credibility. Meghan Markle knows this. So do the houses. A rumored payout invites a harsher read. Did she move the culture or just move a decimal? And if the answer wobbles, brands hedge. That's when "let's talk soon" turns into circle back after awards season. But the bigger question isn't the rumor, it's the strategy. Why Balenciaga and why now? Because beyond the number, the brand choice tells you exactly what game Meghan Markle is trying to win. If you strip away the headlines, the equation is simple. Balenciaga is a megaphone with memory. When a house with that kind of cultural gravity is rewriting its story under Pierpaolo Piccioli, every seat nearby becomes a statement. Sit too close without synergy, and you look like you're borrowing thunder. Sit close and sync, and you look like you add voltage. That's the brand math Meghan Markle stepped into, where presence is measured in cohesion, not decibels. For Balenciaga, careful proximity is the new luxury. Post-crisis, they're not just casting faces, they're editing narratives. The house wants an energy that reads as composed, modern, and sure of itself. That's why the room watches for tension points. Is the guest's story pulling the brand into old noise or pushing it toward a cleaner chapter? If Meghan Markle signals discipline, clean silhouette, unfussy beauty, unhurried posture, she supports the house's direction. If she signals turbulence, over-telegraphed moves, chatter louder than the clothes, the brand pays a reputational tax. For Meghan Markle, the calculus flips. Balenciaga isn't only a seat, it's a scoreboard. If you can blend with a house that demands restraint, you telegraph control. You show you can tighten the frame without losing the spark. That's credibility you can't buy, and it travels. Stylists trust the fit, editors trust the arc, and other houses stop seeing risk and start seeing range. But if the alignment feels performative, if the look reads, "see me," instead of "see the idea," the room senses it, and the magnetism turns into static. This is why the two-look strategy mattered. It told a story of intention. Reset, then resolve. The white look said, Meghan Markle understands the house's need for air. The black cape said she can carry weight without tipping into theater. That's the shift brands notice. Not, can she deliver a moment? But can she sit inside our code and make it feel inevitable? And here's the hinge. Balenciaga doesn't crown, it co-signs. The best outcome for Meghan Markle isn't a rumored deal. It's a quiet consensus that her presence didn't fight the clothes. When that consensus forms, doors open without press releases. When it doesn't, the replies get polite and the gaps get wider. But brand math is only half the game. The other half is strategy. What Meghan Markle does next, which room she enters, and whether she can turn one strong night in Paris into a pattern the industry trusts. And that's where her next move matters. If Paris was a proof of concept, Meghan Markle now has to turn one calibrated night into a repeatable language. That means picking houses where the code matches her core. Quiet geometry, clean tailoring, zero clutter, and letting that continuity do the talking. Meghan Markle doesn't need louder rooms. She needs smarter rooms. Think fittings that favor line over logo, silhouettes that move like strategy, and glam that reads considered, not competitive. When the choices feel premeditated rather than reactive, the narrative shifts from seeking validation to setting direction. The calendar matters. Awards season dressing is where reputations harden or soften, and Meghan Markle knows the fittings come with subtext. If she anchors to a handful of designers and keeps the message stable, sharp black, intelligent whites, unfussy structure, she stops arguing her place and starts proving it. That's when stylists trust her eye, editors trust the arc, and even cautious houses see less risk and more resonance. The aim isn't a headline deal. It's a long tail of course she wore that moments that make a partnership feel inevitable. The team play has to evolve too. Meghan Markle benefits when the clothes do the lifting and the captions stay minimal. When she posts less and lets the look live longer in other people's frames, the conversation turns from personality to proportion. If the goal is credibility, restraint is a feature, not a flaw. And when she does speak, one measured quote about construction, fabric, or craft, it should sound like someone invested in the work, not the noise. The pivot point is simple. If Meghan Markle keeps choosing pieces that make discipline look effortless, the room will adjust. The more the silhouettes repeat with subtle variation, the more editors start calling it a signature rather than a streak. And once a signature lands, invitations change, phone calls get warmer, and deals stop feeling like rumors and start reading like alignment. But even the smartest strategy needs a finish, because the question hanging over Paris wasn't just whether Meghan Markle fit Balenciaga for a night. It was whether she built something that lasts. If Paris was a test, the grade won't be a headline. It'll be the invites that follow. Meghan Markle doesn't need Balenciaga to declare anything. She needs the industry to behave as if she belongs. That's the quiet victory. A pattern of yeses without press releases, fittings that feel inevitable, and images that age well. If Meghan Markle keeps choosing discipline over spectacle, clean lines, calm posture, thoughtful fabric, the room will stop debating her presence and start counting on it. That's how credibility settles in. For Balenciaga, the calculus is just as simple. If Pierpaolo Piccioli is writing a stricter playbook, then anyone seated near that playbook has to read as composed and coherent. On her best nights, Meghan Markle fits that thesis. On her worst, the narrative reaches for noise. Which side wins will come down to repetition. Can Meghan Markle make restraint feel like signature, not strategy? If she can, the proximity pays off for both. No rumors required. In the end, fashion's scoreboard is ruthless but fair. Names open doors. Narratives keep them open. Meghan Markle showed in Paris that she can speak the language of a house that values presence over performance. Now the work is consistency, because if she strings together a season of looks that feel inevitable, the question flips from, did Meghan Markle borrow the moment, to who else could have carried it? And that's when a seat becomes a stake. So here's the thread to watch. Fewer declarations, sharper choices, quieter wins. If Meghan Markle leans into that path, the next time she walks into a room like Balenciaga, it won't read as a comeback. It'll read as continuity.